So this video is gonna be hard for me to make. So I'm sure you're all wondering what this video is about, and I'll get to that in a minute. But I first have to ask the question, what is normal? I mean, it's a social construct that we've all helped in making, but can we even define it in today's society? I guess a more specific question that I'm trying to ask is, do I seem normal? I mean, like most teens, I drive cars. Sometimes a bit fast. I make good grades. And I've had many accomplishments in my life that I'm very proud of. At a very early age, I achieved the rank of Eagle Scout in the Boy Scouts of America. I was the valedictorian at my high school. I earned my black belt when I was 6 or 7, and I've done other forms of martial arts throughout my life, including MMA. As far as sports go, I'm not much into them, but I love to play golf and was my school's champion in my senior year. Other than that, I've played music for over 10 years. I've played drums and other forms of percussion, and I'm one of the lucky few in America who actually own a handpan. As far as my personality goes, I'm a bit more introverted. I'm not much into big parties. I'm more into small social gatherings with close-knit friends. And I also love gaming. Anytime that we're not in school, you can catch me playing games on my Xbox or PC. So, knowing all this, does that make me normal? So, this is the part of the video that is extremely hard for me to talk about. Only about 5 to 10 people in this world know me personally enough to know what I'm about to say. It's not that I'm hiding anything, I just don't express myself in that way to people, I guess. But I'm trying to change that, so I figured, why not open up to the entire world? It's also important to note that I'm not speaking on behalf of others. I'm only speaking of my personal experiences and hoping to raise awareness of others. So, I have a vertical binocular visual disability. And basically what that means is anything that I'm trying to read and comprehend laterally is extremely hard for me to process. A perfect example is reading any sort of text or book. While I physically may be able to read a page or even a paragraph, my brain is physically not able to comprehend everything I just read. I may understand the first, third, fourth, fifth, and seventh line of 8-line paragraph or something like that. And because of this, schoolwork has taken me 2 to 3 times longer than what most people do. When I was in 6th or 7th grade, my mom took me to a specialist to kind of help diagnose what I have. We knew something was wrong, but we didn't have a label for it. So my school at the time wasn't able to provide much help. So we go there, he examines me, tells me and my mom what I have. At the end of the appointment, he says, don't worry about your son's grades. He is doing the best that he can. And my mom says, I know he has a few struggles, but he's working hard for his straight A's. And then he looked at us puzzled. Like, what do you mean straight A's? He's like, he's a straight A student. He didn't believe us. So, go out. Next time we come back in for an appointment, bring my report card showing straight A's. He didn't believe us. He was like, in my 30 plus years of experience, he's never seen a child like me make the grades I was making. And that was really my first experience of being disabled. I mean, that didn't really largely impact me at that time, but what followed really did. We get the official note about what I have, bring it to my school, get an IEP saying that they need to provide certain accommodations for me to excel in school. So what their fix was, is they would put me with another group of students and they would cross off answers on my exam. So I would choose from 2 instead of 4. At the time, of course, I was happy. I was like, hey, I'm getting easier tests now. But it was really a disservice to me to be put with that group. Now, people need accommodations like those, but I just wasn't one of them. All my IEP stated was I needed to have 14-point font as opposed to 12 and a blank piece of paper so I'd be able to read line by line to try to better comprehend the material that I was trying to read. And I had a lot of bad experiences with teachers. There's a few amazing teachers at that school, but there was a few that come to mind specifically that were extremely unhelpful and labeled me differently because of my disability. My home ec teacher, who shall remain nameless, was giving me lower grades on exams because she wasn't liking administration telling her that she had to make accommodations for me, which she wasn't doing in the first place and still didn't. So my mom goes in saying, you know, he just needs a little bit of help. He needs increased font for exams and just a blank piece of paper so he could read it slowly. If that's all she would be willing to do, that would be extremely helpful. Her exact quote was, "It's not like he's in a wheelchair or anything," end quote. This still horrifies me today. Not that any physical disability is any less or worse than my disability. It's something completely different on its own, and I'm not saying I've had it harder or less hard than anybody else. I'm just saying that because I wasn't physically disabled, there are plenty of people who have mental disabilities that look like normal people, that go through stuff that other people can't even imagine. I can't imagine what people go through with depression or anxiety. But that was really my first experience of being disabled and people not recognizing it. My hope for this video is to kind of change people's perspectives of what a disability is. So that brings us here now, the overall purpose of the video. Do I want to be labeled as disabled or not, or something else entirely? And it's kind of hard to say. Yes, I have challenges and adversities that other people don't have to necessarily go through. I always run the risk of going blind if I work for an extended period of time without taking breaks. It's happened 3 times in my life where I've had to stay home from school for 2 weeks, not look at screens, literally do anything other than sit around and eat and possibly exercise. So I know that I'm different from others in that regard, but I'm not necessarily disabled. I have the ability to perceive the world in an entirely different way. In fact, I'm very grateful for my challenges. If it weren't for my challenges, I don't know if I'd be the person who I am today. So they say that once the art leaves the author's hands, that it's not up to the author what its meaning is. So I leave it to you, the viewer, what you take away from this. Is it a message of inspiration for people like me to get up and speak out? Is it just telling my story and opening up emotionally, a completely more selfish video-ed concept? Or am I part of something much greater? That I can't say. It's not up for me to decide. I do need to give credit to a few people for helping inspire me to make this video. First of all, Yes Theory. They're an amazing group of content creators on YouTube. Recently, they did helicopter bungee jumping with Will Smith over the Grand Canyon for his 50th birthday. And they challenged their viewers, including myself, what is their jump? What is something that they fear that is holding them back? This was mine, opening up to people. So Yes Theory, challenge completed. I hope I've inspired somebody else, just one other person, to do something similar and complete what they are greatly afraid of. I also need to give credit to Dan Mace for creating an amazing video about mental illnesses and awareness for it that completely inspired me to create this video. And then I also needed to point out that this video is for a final project for my college. However, that just allowed me to have this ability to create something like this. I don't know if without that little spark I would have been so prompted to create something like this before the New Year's. So I'd first of all like to thank my class for watching this, because they have to sit through and watch this, but I'd also like to thank anybody else who's watching this, especially if you've made it to this point. As I've been worrying all day, as I hope the world can take from a different view, is that we just need to smile more.